Hello, people. How are we? I had a great day. It rained a lot here. How did you do? Where I am, well, it's not raining right now, but there was a lot of rain today, and I like the rain, so I was quite happy. Well, I want to ask a question. I like to start asking questions. So, how do you know whether there is any intimacy in your relationship? Because sometimes we have relationships, and I'm talking about man woman relationship now, because intimacy exists in most relationships, but they're different. And there are actually five four types of intimacy. Yeah, four types, but I'm not even going to go into that tonight. You have the emotional, the mental, the spiritual, and of course the physical. And sometimes that's the part that we think of as intimacy, just the physical part. But how can you tell if there's intimacy in your relationship? I am going to talk about five things that can give you an indication or measure the temperature of what is going on in your relationship to see if there is any measure of intimacy there. Yes, because the fact that you are in a relationship, and I'm going to be very realistic, you don't have to be married, because a lot of people are in common law relationships these days for whatever reason. I'm not here to judge anybody. I'm just saying, so if you're in a relationship, um it's not just the physical aspect of the relationship that determines that there is intimacy in the relationship. There are a number of things that will determine if there is any intimacy in your relationship. So we want to look at the fact that people can trust each other. Yeah. So are you in a relationship where you can trust your significant other? Yeah. This is something that is very important. And when I say trust, I mean that you have to build trust over a period of time, because if there's no trust, the relationship is going to be in problems. Trust is very important. So let us say that your significant other is leaving home and said he or she is going to point A, and then after that point B, and then whatever, and suggests that they'll call when they get there. Um, you find that this is not happening right away. This is going to erode the trust. But if the person promised that when they get to point B, they would call to let you know they got there and when they got to point B, and this is something that is recurring, you're building trust in a relationship. Whether you just met somebody, whether you've been living with them, whether you've been married to them for years, you're building up trust in your relationship, and that is very important. All right. You also need to determine whether the person you're with is committing to know who you are, committed to knowing who you are. So let's say um I'm not just knowing you by name and just saying, all right, I know that you like pink and that kind of thing. Really knowing who you are. So let's say, what can really be nice when perhaps at a point in time you just said that there's this particular thing that you liked and you just forgot about it. You said it and you forgot about it. And then this person just turns up one day out of the clear and said, oh, here is this thing I heard you say at one point that you liked. And um you're just basically swept off your feet because you didn't think that the person had paid any attention, or if they did, they might not have remembered. But this is one way of finding out that somebody is really committed to knowing you. If like for instance, you like a certain game, the person might want to participate in the particular game. Let's say football, because men generally like football. And some women get upset when their man goes to go watch football. They consider themselves TV widows or whatever. But you have to have a strategy in order to get your man's interest. So you just go and join him, find out why he likes the football so much, and join him in watching the football. And then perhaps after a while, you'll develop a liking for the game. And the same goes for the man. Find out what makes your woman tick, what she likes, and you engage in it. And you might like it after all. Sometimes you don't necessarily have to be thoroughly interested in it, but because your significant other is, then you show some interest. It allows the person to know that you care about them and you're getting to know them, or you know them to a certain point. Another sign of intimacy is when you can become vulnerable with someone, you know. And this, I think, is the most difficult one in some instances, because people have certain habits that they want to hide from their significant other. They don't want them to know about it. People snore. People have a way of how they do things in the bathroom, and they have bedroom habits that they don't necessarily want other people to know about. And but when you are comfortable with the person and you're able to be vulnerable, make yourself vulnerable, whatever it is that you do. There are many things I can think of right now, but let's just say you can do something that you perhaps wouldn't want anybody else to know that you do, and you can do it with this person, and you feel comfortable, you don't feel judged, you don't feel like they're going to belittle you or anything like that. Then you're getting somewhere in that instance, because you can make yourself vulnerable with this person. So you're getting into the relationship, you're getting comfortable, and you know now that you're building intimacy in your relationship. Another pointer is that you feel accepted. So if you are thin as a toothpick, your man or your woman accepts you and is proud of you, will go out with you, do whatever with you, or vice versa, you know, either one or the other. If it's a man, for the woman, if it's a woman, for the man. So they'll take you to family gatherings, they'll be happy to introduce you to their friends, to the family, to whomever, and they don't have any inhibitions about doing this kind of thing. You know, they accept you for who you are, for what you look like, whatever it is about you, they have accepted you. That's another level of intimacy. So you know that you're developing intimacy, or that there is intimacy in your relationship. Another thing is if you can rely on this person when things go wrong in the relationship. So let's say you lost your job and you went home and told your significant other that you lost your job. He or she, let me say the woman, she tells her her man comes home and says that he has lost his job and he's the chief breadwinner. And you might get upset, and you might start to show him a face that is not right and that kind of thing. You know, you don't belittle him, but you support him and encourage him and tell him, oh, he will find another job soon. And you start to help him to look and that kind of thing. And he knows that you're supporting him, because, you know, the man's ego is very fragile and you have to be very careful. It's not like us women whose ego is not all that and then some. We're not like that. But men, their ego is very fragile. So you have to be very careful with them. But when you have some of these attributes or ingredients in your relationship and they're going well, you can tell that there is intimacy in your relationship. And that is so good. It is very good for you to have intimacy in your relationship. You're not just going through the motions in the relationship, and you are not just being there, and it's only when it's physical you think of it as intimacy. But if you are playing, you know, you might know that your husband or your man is coming home at a certain time, and you go in the closet and hide, and he comes in and he's looking for you and he's calling out for you, you're not answering him. And then maybe he comes to a place, like you know that he might come to the closet to get something to put on, or wherever you know that he might go to, and you go there and you just fall out on him and frighten the daylights out of him. You know that you have something going, and he laughs, he's mad at you or whatever, and you see him scared, because most men don't like to admit that they can get scared. I know that for a fact. And there are some things that they won't admit. They won't admit that they've been asleep when they shouldn't be asleep, and that kind of thing. I was coming home one evening on the train from Long Island to the Bronx, and this guy was on the train with his girlfriend, and he fell asleep, and one big snoring with his mouth wide open, and she poked him, and he said, "What you poke me for?" And she said, "You're snoring." And he said, "I wasn't snoring, I wasn't sleeping." And let me tell you something, the people just had to laugh, because that was such a big joke. So, you know, these kinds of things, you have the intimacy in your relationship, and you want to just have it thrive, and just to be the best kind of thing that you have. It makes life so much nicer. I mean, no relationship is perfect, and no relationship is a bed of roses, but you can make it the best that you can do. So check out the temperature of your relationship and see if there's any intimacy, and I'll tell you about some more signs of intimacy another time. But for right now, thank you for watching. Remember to like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and leave a comment if you will. And we'll talk again soon. Bye. Have a good one.